हमें बस जल्दी करनी है। जैसे हमने लोकपाल सड़क पे बनाया, ऐसे ये जो उत्तराखंड की यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड है, तो साहब 10 लाख हमारे पास सजेशन आए। किन लोगों ने वो सजेशन दिए हैं कुछ नहीं मालूम है। तो प्रॉपर एक्सपर्ट्स की कमेटी बनाएं जो ज्यूरिस्टिक व्यू को देखते हुए ऐसी कोड बना दे जो एक्सेप्टेबल हो, जिसको लोग अपोज ना करें। हम कोई बड़ा रिफॉर्म करें सर तो कंसेंसस हो जाए कंट्री में, ऑल राउंड सेलिब्रेशन हो। अगर हम यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड करने जा रहे हैं तो वक्फ बिल क्यों ला रहे हैं? फिर आसाम में ये नया लॉ मैरिज रजिस्ट्रेशन का क्यों ला रहे हैं? वो तो फिर सब उसी में कवर हो जाएगा।
सही बात है, सही बात। तो मंशा कुछ अलग लगती है आपके हिसाब से। नहीं नहीं, खुल के बोलो, ये तो
खुल के
हम
बोलने
तो
की
चर्चा
बात
कर रहे
नहीं,
हैं।
सर क्लियर नहीं है, क्लियर नहीं है।
Namaskar. In this episode of Dil Se, we'll be talking about the Uniform Civil Code. Now, this subject can be discussed at various levels. First, what was the intent of the constitution makers when Article 44 was included in the Constitution? What were the debates in the Constituent Assembly? What was Dr. Ambedkar's view? पहली बात तो ये। दूसरा, क्या ये मुद्दा एक राजनीतिक मुद्दा बन गया है? राजनीतिक मुद्दा हो सकता है क्योंकि भाजपा के मैनिफेस्टो में इसका जिक्र रहा है। और अगर आप देखोगे तो जहां जहां भाजपा की सरकारें हैं वहां चर्चा हो रही है कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड लाना जरूरी है। और मार्च 2024 में उत्तराखंड में यूसीसी लागू भी कर दिया, और आपको मालूम है कि मई में इलेक्शन होने वाली थी। तो सोच भी राजनीतिक है, और जहां जहां नॉन बीजेपी की सरकारें हैं वहां कोई इसके बारे में चर्चा नहीं हो रही। तो एक ये भी मुद्दा है। एक और भी मुद्दा है कि क्या शरिया और मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ में अंतर क्या है? कई ऐसे देश हैं दुनिया में जहां पर्सनल लॉ यूनिफॉर्म भी है, लिबरल भी है, लागू भी है, लेकिन हिंदुस्तान में नहीं है। टर्की एक उदाहरण के तौर पे आपको बताता हूं। तो कई ऐसे मुद्दे हैं जिन पे चर्चा ज़रूरी है, और इसमें विवाद भी बहुत है। तो हमारे साथ 3 ऐसे लोग हैं जो मैं समझता हूं कि इस सब्जेक्ट के बारे में माहिर हैं, एकदम बिल्कुल जानते हैं। और सबसे पहले फैज़ान मुस्तफ़ा साहब, थैंक यू वेरी मच। इनके बारे में जितना कहें उतना ही कम है। फैज़ान साहब is a legal scholar. At the present, he is a vice chancellor of Chanakya. He is a gold medalist from Aligarh Muslim University. और सार्क ने इन्होंने 2014 में कहा कि he is the best teacher in India. He was awarded the best teacher by SARC. Right? He is a Commonwealth scholar. He is a Fulbright scholar. 100 इन्होंने पेपर लिखे हैं। He is mentoring 9 साल के ये वाइस चांसलर रहे हैं। अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी से इन्होंने डॉक्टरेट की है। डॉक्टरेट इन चीज़ों पे नहीं की, इन्होंने आईपीआर पे डॉक्टरेट की है, कॉपीराइट पे डॉक्टरेट की है। तो लेकिन जिस तरह से ये इस मुद्दे को एक्सप्लेन करते हैं शायद ही कोई कर पाएगा। मेरे भाई यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं, मेरे कॉलीग हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, चंद्र उदय सिंह जी। मुझे ये नहीं मालूम था कि आपने शुरुआत डेयरी फार्मिंग से की। हाँ, ये तो मुझे अभी पता चला कि आपका कॉमर्स की डिग्री थी, आपने डेयरी फार्म, आप जर्नलिस्ट भी रह चुके हैं कुछ देर, फिर आपने वकालत, बिकॉज दैट इज़ योर कॉलिंग एंड आई एम ग्लैड यू केम टू द प्रोफेशन। आपने वकालत शुरू की, 1984 में वकालत शुरू की, एंड यू आर्ग्यूड सम ग्रेट केसेस इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, एंड यू आर अ वॉइस, यू आर अ सेक्युलर वॉइस अमंग्स द लीगल फ्रेटर्निटी इन दिस कंट्री।
थैंक यू कपिल।
मीनाक्षी जी पहले भी हमारे यहाँ आ चुकी हैं। इनका तो ये है कि भाई जितनी बोल्ड ये कोर्ट में रहती हैं, जितनी परसुएसिव में रहती हैं, तो मैं कभी कभी आपसे भी कुछ सीखता हूँ। नहीं, सच में, मैं झूठ नहीं बोल रहा था, क्योंकि हम कई बार चूक जाते हैं कि यार इससे आगे नहीं बढ़ते, लेकिन मीनाक्षी जी छोड़ती नहीं जब तक इनको ऑर्डर ना मिले। शी बिकेम अ सीनियर एडवोकेट इन 2013 एंड शी वाज रिकमेंडेड फॉर जजशिप टू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट। तो खैर इतनी इनकी चर्चा है सुप्रीम कोर्ट में। और लीगल रिफॉर्म के मुद्दों में, स्पेशली वुमेन्स इश्यूज, शी इज़ वेरी स्ट्रांग ऑन दोज इश्यूज। तो शुरुआत फैज़ान साहब आपसे करते हैं कि क्या मंशा थी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकर्स की?
सर, जब संविधान सभा में ये सब बहस हुई तो जो कुछ मुस्लिम मेंबर्स थे उन्होंने कहा कि साहब इसको स्पेसिफिकली एग्जाम कर दिया जाए कि पर्सनल लॉ को प्रोटेक्ट किया जाएगा।
आर्टिकल 35 पे जब चर्चा हो रही थी।
हाँ, एज पार्ट ऑफ फ्रीडम ऑफ रिलीजन। जाहिर है कि उस पर एग्रीमेंट नहीं हुआ वहां पे। तो ये अंबेडकर की जीनियस थी कि भाई ये आ भी जाए। जैसे मुस्लिम मेंबर्स कह रहे थे कि काउ स्लॉटर भी फंडामेंटल राइट्स में रख दो, लेकिन ये उनकी जीनियस थी कि डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल में रख दिया और एनिमल हस्बेंड्री और साइंटिफिक मेथड्स उसे लाए। लेकिन ये बात कि स्टेट इंडेवर करेगी और इतने और डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, उनकी चर्चा नहीं आप सुनते। आप सिर्फ काउ स्लॉटर और यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की सुनते हैं, और कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ की और कम्युनिटी रिसोर्सेस डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हों फॉर कॉमन गुड, उन पे कोई बात नहीं होती। लेकिन सर, क्योंकि पर्सनल लॉ कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में उसी संविधान सभा ने रखा, तो कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट का मतलब यूनिफॉर्म खत्म। यानी पार्लियामेंट एक लॉ बना सकती है और जो आपकी 29 राज्य हैं वो और।
तो इसमें कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन नहीं है कि भाई आप आर्टिकल 44 में तो यूनिफॉर्म लॉ ऑल इंडिया होगा, और
वो गोल है।
हाँ?
वो गोल है।
हाँ।
रियलिटी ये है कि अलग अलग लॉ हो सकते हैं।
अच्छा।
और ये हम सोचते हैं अक्सर कि क्रिमिनल लॉ एक है, पर आपको सर मालूम है कि सीआरपीसी में भी हर स्टेट अलग अलग अमेंडमेंट कर लेती है। कोई भी लॉ सेंटर बनाता है, यानी चीटिंग तक पे सेंटर ने लॉ बनाया, फिर सारी स्टेट्स अलग अलग लॉ बना रही हैं। तो यूनिफॉर्मिटी संविधान का गोल नहीं है बेसिकली, लेकिन जस्ट कोड हो और जेंडर जस्ट कोड हो। इसलिए मैंने हमेशा उसको सपोर्ट किया है कि एक संविधान का टीचर तो यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड को अपोज नहीं कर सकता है, लेकिन यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड जो है वो इक्वालिटी के प्रिंसिपल्स को अपहोल्ड करे। और सर, कोड का मतलब भी एक लॉ नहीं है। जैसे हिंदू कोड बिल था, तो एक लॉ तो पास नहीं हो पाया, तमाम पार्लियामेंट में अंबेडकर की अपोजिशन हुई, उन्हें रिजाइन करना पड़ा, कहना पड़ा कि साहब कंप्रोमाइजेस किए नेहरू ने, बहुत से डाइल्यूट किए प्रोविजंस। तो कई लॉ मिला के भी एक कोड बन सकती है। तो लॉ अलग हो सकते हैं, लेकिन जितने भी लॉ हों वो सब जेंडर जस्टिस पे पूरे उतरे। तो संविधान की मंशा ये है कि नाइंसाफी ना हो किसी के लिए, लेकिन एक लॉ होना कोई बड़ा गोल नहीं है। वरना तो फिर एक सिर्फ यूनियन लिस्ट होती, आपके पास कोई स्टेट लिस्ट ना होती और कोई कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट ना होती।
आपके बारे में ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि साहब आप इस तरफ भी हैं और उस तरफ भी हैं।
ये अच्छा सवाल है, पर जो टीचर है उसको दोनों पर्सपेक्टिव स्टूडेंट्स के सामने रख देने चाहिए, तो मैं दोनों रख देता हूं।
Sandhar, what is your view?
I think that I would go with your first impression that this is, today it is purely a political issue. That's not an answer, because there are many issues which are political. But I don't think that the Uniform Civil Code is an issue which is central to the needs of the nation, to the needs of a nation which is aspiring to be a global leader, which is aspiring to assert itself as one of the great nations of the world. I mean, just to put it in perspective, out of 193 members of the United Nations, member nations of the United Nations, there are only 8 which claim to have a uniform civil code.
Right.
And even among those 8, interestingly, you will find Pakistan, Bangladesh, Turkey, Malaysia, and a couple of others. But the United States of America is among those 8. Now, the United States of America, which is listed as a nation with a uniform civil code, in fact has widely divergent personal laws, because the personal laws are made by the states, not by the federal government, not by the federal legislature. And for instance, you have the Amish, you have they have completely their own laws, their own mores, their own way of life, their own legal system. You have the Native Americans with complete autonomy, somewhat akin to, much greater, but somewhat on par with our 6th schedule and part 21
371 G and H,
of the Constitution of India, etc., which I might refer to later. But so what I'm saying is, what makes this, though a directive principle of state policy, but what makes this so important in today's day when it is an issue which is intrinsically divisive? It is being played as a divisive card. It is not something which the nation needs. It is not something which is going to advance the nation. It's not something which is going to help in any way. But it will exacerbate the current climate of divisiveness, of Fissiparous sort of tendencies, of hatred and so on. So, if I am asked personally to do a balancing, I would say that this is something which should be the last priority of any responsible government.
Meenakshi, just look back the last 6 months, or 6-7 months, or a year. We find that the entire discourse in this country for the 2024 election was trying to divide society by making statements which were exceptionally unsavory, right? And just recently a statement was made by the Assam Chief Minister, कि हम मियाँ वालों को Assam, will not let them take over Assam. Now, this is now only an electoral issue. The question is this really that important an issue that should now keep us talking about it all the time when there are so many emergent things that are required for the government to do?
I will agree with Faizan, and I would say the Constituent Assembly, when it was debating, the objections taken by the minorities that they felt they would be overrun by a majority diktat. Hindus were in majority. So the Muslim lawmakers who were the part of the Constituent Assembly felt threatened that if you bring about a uniform civil code, you would take away our rights. Now that's the political scenario in 1947.
Right.
You do a fast forward today. Look, 77 years later, we do need rights which are uniform on gender lines. There is a huge disparity out there and we need to correct the disparity. But it cannot be made a political issue to correct a disparity, number one. Number two, when you do this exercise, please go out to the people who are affected and take the feedback from them. If you're going to do something which is going to balance out on the gender rights, and you have a majority of men sitting in that assembly, which is same thing which happened at the time of the Constituent Assembly debates. It was the men who were talking about the Uniform Civil Code, which concerned the rights of women. So that's not the thing. If you want to do it right. Go out to the segment that is affected, take from them. If the Muslim women, the Parsi women, I would say, they have such a bad lot in that Parsi panchayat system of a divorce, which is horrific. Take the Christian women where you can't have a divorce, in certain segments. So go out to them, take the feedback from them, and then do a workout which is apolitical. I know it's an utopian talk, but I agree with you, the discourse must not be vitriolic. It must not be one community against the other. And for sure, it must not send out a message that it's the majority community which will impose its view on a larger segment of minorities.
Let me just follow up with that question. Today, the issue is, should laws of marriage, divorce, succession, adoption, maintenance, should not they be uniform in all religions?
I would say they should be.
Because ultimately we're talking about women's rights.
Yes.
Faizan sir, what do you say?
May not be uniform, but as I said,
I mean, in principle. I'm not talking
I
about...
agree, yes.
In
principle.
In principle.
In principle, yes.
But uniformity should not be the goal. The goal should be that laws are just. So you may have a separate law if you want for Hindus or for Christians, for Muslims, but it should not be discriminatory against anybody. Now the whole problem is, as you rightly indicated, law reform should not be in the context of politics. It's an independent project on its own.
Correct.
Whether you take on board the community affected by it or not, ideally you should. But even if not, one has to be convinced that we are sincerely doing only a law reform independent of any electoral implications or benefits or whatever loss. Now, so what has happened that why can't whatever we did for reforming Hindu law, we are willing to do when we want to reform Muslim law. 1941, we constituted a Hindu law reform committee,
Correct.
which had experts of Hindu law. And it took good 15 years for us to get a Hindu code bill, that too not in one go.
And opposed.
So that kind of thing. Now, I welcome the Uttarakhand Constitution Committee, though it was announced.
But
on
you
the
have
la-
been deeply disappointed.
No,
also.
I am disappointed, yes. I welcomed it because I thought for the first time there is going to be a committee of experts, even though it was announced on the last day of campaign in the election. But once the committee was constituted, you did not have any expert of personal law. And when you ended up with a uniform civil code, one, you have 200 plus sections on will, and then you are saying live-in should also be registered. So it is not, empowering. It is not, really giving liberty. You are trying to control through this law. Then this law is at variance with number of central laws. Yet we gave concurrence for that. So if Uttarakhand is a model of a uniform civil code, then many feminists will not be happy with that kind of law.
There are two issues in the Uttarakhand law, and I'll just bring them to your notice. Number one, that if you're in a live-in relationship, you have to register that marriage. And if you don't register, you'll be prosecuted. So that is one provision. There's another provision that if you are domiciled in Uttarakhand and you are there only for 1 year and you move away out of Uttarakhand, the Uttarakhand law will still apply to you. What does this mean? It means that the whole process of legislation is jaundiced, right? Now, the other day, I'll come to you now, the Prime Minister made a very strange statement. He said publicly on Independence Day that this country has not had a uniform civil code, but a uniform communal code. I don't understand what that means. Do you understand what that means?
I don't. I do get the sense that he was trying to.
Well, you don't have a uniform civil code. How do you have a uniform communal code?
So I do get the sense that he was trying to convert the discussion into a secular civil code instead of a uniform. Instead of using the word uniform, he started using the
But
word
he said
secular. And
communal. He said
was
presently we have a
contrast to
communal
that.
civil code.
That is something I missed. But to come back to your earlier question, when you said that since the laws pertaining to marriage, divorce, succession, etc., why should they not be uniform, was the question you asked. If I can just say something on that. The level of diversity that we have in India, I am not sure whether any other nation in the world has that.
That's true.
And some nations had it, but they have sort of effaced it. For instance, the United States, with one language, for instance, they have anybody who wants to enter the United States has to learn that language, etc., etc. And there are many other ways that they have sought to efface diversity and create a uniformity. We have a situation where we have more than 10.5 crore Indians are tribals.
But, Uttarakhand law, they have excluded tribals.
And they have excluded tribals and they have excluded all people covered by Part 21 of the Constitution of India.
Yes, right.
Now, Part 21 has special provisions for all the northeastern states, for Sikkim, for others, where the personal laws, in Mizoram, for instance, the personal laws, customary laws, etc., are completely protected. And there are tribal councils, which are called by various different names, but it is the tribal councils who are empowered, Bodoland, etc., though they may be functioning in the breach quite often, but they are empowered by the Constitution of India to frame personal laws. Now, if the Constitution on one hand empowers, and now in the Northeast, it's not just tribes, it's also entire areas. So North Kachar district, so-and-so district, so-and-so district, every resident
Customs, in fact,
tribal or non-tribal,
differ from area to area within the state itself.
Tribal or non-tribal are completely protected for personal laws, etc. So you have 10.4 crores of tribals who cannot be brought into the fold. You have protections, as I said, for areas in Part 21. You have the 6th schedule. We have so it's not just a communal thing. It's not just Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, etc., etc. There are various other constituencies, when I use the word constituencies, what I mean is there are various other interests or communities. There are ancient communities which predate, even the advent of civilization in India, the Adivasis and all, who have entirely their own systems of marriage, of inheritance, etc., etc. We have some matrilineal systems, we have some patriarchal systems, etc., etc.
Mitakshara,
Now, if you try to enforce uniformity because you are targeting a particular community, I think that is why I said that yes, we want. I actually never thought in terms of what Faizan said, but fairness, yes. Uniformity, no. I think would be a very, very good goal to aim for.
Come to you, Meenakshi. It's very interesting what they said, but let me take it forward by saying, if this is the kind of diversity that exists in India, and within the Hindu community also, there are different customs. So there is no uniformity of customs even within the Hindu community. So therefore, and if you are excluding, say, Mitakshara school, all that you're excluding, therefore you are really not in fact talking about a uniform civil code, because you can't impose this on those people, right? And if you're not talking about a uniform civil code, while you articulate it, it is only in the context of Muslims. Am I correct in my interpretation?
Yes, the articulation is in the context of Muslims. I would completely agree with you. But I take a slightly different view on it. Being a feminist, I look at it from some aspects where I do think that you need to go about correcting some few aspects here. Look, for example, divorce. Now, I'm going to use one example. The same exists in the Northeast, in those tribal bodies which go about and sit in the villages and decide on the divorces. I have seen a few of them, and it can be quite a kangaroo court. Take an example of the Parsi. You have old retired gentlemen who become part of the Parsi Panchayat. It's normally women who are out there to seek a divorce. And the whole system is completely skewed. It's a small community. Divorce aspects do have a lot of personal things that you open up before a body. And this elderly gentlemen who look at it from one perspective, and none of your material then stays confidential, it's all over the community. It doesn't work. It may be a system the Parsis set for themselves at one time, but is no longer something today. Same thing goes for your tribals, where you have this little village bodies. The man comes from a larger family, or a woman comes from, there's a matriarchal there. You know, everything goes the way it works out there. No, these systems really don't work when it comes to divorce, when it comes to a maintenance and alimony, when it comes to a succession. So, and few other key aspects like that. I am not saying that you codify your personal practices. No, please don't. There has to be some amount that is going to stay outside this code. But something about the rights, and now I talk about it as a right, and that's what the Supreme Court did when it did Shah Banu or when it did the Sharia.
Correct.
Banu. It looked at what the rights the woman should have. It recognized that these are not coming from those personal laws, and then tried to read it in. But you're not going to go about for the next 15, 20 years, take community by community and try to get the Supreme Court to decide. I know the Parsi Panchayat case is pending before the Supreme Court now for maybe 5 or 7 years, and nothing has happened about it. It's still pending. There is an issue about the Hindu women dying intestate, which is a very serious issue, still pending before the Supreme Court.
The point I'm making is somewhat different. Is the intent of the government really to interfere in tribal customs, Adivasis, Parsi community, matriarchal system? I'm asking that question. If the intent of the government is not to interfere, because that's also politics, if they try and interfere in the Northeast, they lose the elections. So I dare say their intent is not that, which is the question I was asking. Their intent is not that they want a uniform civil code, because they know in many parts of the country, this will not be acceptable and they will lose the election. Therefore, they are talking only about focusing only on the Muslim community. Therefore, it's a political issue. It's nothing to do with the Uniform Civil Code. That's the question that I'm asking.
No, but sir, that's the whole point, as I said, that you need to have a committee of experts which will suggest, because all personal laws are jurist-given laws. So these are not laws which some Islamic state has ever enacted.
Right.
So be it Hindu law or Muslim law, they are jurist-given laws. So there are liberal jurists and there are conservative jurists. So you base your law reform. So law reform happened in Muslim countries. It was accepted. It's a different story that it is easy to reform the law of the majority
Of course.
because you don't have the minority
Of course,
psyche.
of course, that's the
But
key.
the rationale of law reform there was that they based it on some liberal jurist. For instance, on polygamy in Algeria, the president who led the reform, he said that since the Quran requires that you have to do perfect equality, nobody other than Prophet can do perfect equality, so monogamy is a rule. And then it was based on some juristic views as well. What I am trying to say, sir, that after we are done with this expert committee, just like what was done about the Hindu law reform, we have to go back to the Hindu community because their current law also requires reform.
Yes.
For instance, if there is issue-less Hindu couple, and both are working, then the property of the husband goes to his parents,
Yes.
and the property of wife also goes to
Intestate.
in-laws.
That's correct.
Are we
Intestate.
willing
Yes,
to
it's
do
terrible.
that?
Correct.
Similarly, we said that in the self-acquired property, son and daughter will get equal share. Then in will, we have given unlimited absolute
powers.
power.
Correct, correct.
And this is what the UCC in
And then
Uttarakhand
the
has
issue of
done.
the issue of the HUF, Hindu undivided family.
And the tax exemption.
So are they willing to change
and
all
the
that?
Kanyadan.
तब इसीलिए क्या
Solemnization.
क्या इसमें परिवर्तन लाएंगे? यही तो मैं
That is the
सवाल
whole
पूछ रहा हूँ.
point.
अगर उसमें परिवर्तन नहीं लाएंगे तो निश्चित रूप से focus only is for
Muslims
communalizing the issue. That's the point.
And sir, वो जो communal है, वो basically religious होना चाहिए. How can people who were married under the Hindu Marriage Act, we say that they were married under some communal code? It was a religious code. That's okay.
आसाम का ही उदाहरण ले लीजिए. वहाँ एक 1935 का एक्ट है.
1935 का लॉ बड़ा फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग लॉ था, यानी पूरे कंट्री में वो लॉ नहीं था फॉर हिंदूज कि मुस्लिम मैरिज भी रजिस्टर होगी, डिवोर्स भी रजिस्टर होगी, खुला का शेड्यूल अलग है, विटनेसेस कौन थे डिवोर्स के वक्त, एवरीथिंग. अब उस लॉ को रिपील कर रहे हैं और कह रहे हैं कि अब शादी करने के लिए जस्ट लाइक अंडर स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट नोटिस देना पड़ेगा.
तो ये एजेंडा हो गया ना, ये एजेंडा तो
दैट इज द पॉइंट कि इस तरह की लॉ मेकिंग लॉ रिफॉर्म नहीं है बेसिकली. और सर, यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड तो मौजूद है देश में, स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट है, इंडियन सक्सेशन एक्ट है.
Correct.
कितने लोगों ने उसके तहत मैरिज कराई है?
Correct.
आप ये देखिए कि सर, हिंदू मेन कैसे बाइगमी में बचते हैं. कुछ तो स्मार्ट हैं, 7 फेरों के बजाय 5 लेते हैं. कुछ ने कोर्ट मैरिज की. गुजरात हाई कोर्ट के
करेवा
केस है.
मैरिज भी तो होती है.
जी जी, कोर्ट मैरिज को उन्होंने कहा कि सोलमनाइजेशन नहीं हुआ. अगर 2 वैलिड मैरिजेस नहीं है तो आपको सजा नहीं होगी. तो हिंदू लॉ ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्स रिफॉर्म. हम उसके लिए रेडी हैं, उस पर कोई बात
उस
नहीं.
पर तो कोई चर्चा नहीं होगी.
वो मैत्री करार गुजरात का.
अच्छा, ये
But
बताइए.
you are right, if I can just interject. If you want to bring about proper reforms
Yes.
across every single religion body,
That's right.
and not just one community, so then it is when we will recognize that you really
नेशनल इलेक्शन हार जाएंगे.
हाँ, तो ही तो नहीं, लेकिन people must realize and they must be sensitive कि ये issues केवल एक community के नहीं है, हर community में है. Hinduism में कितने का है issues on women succession and everything,
चाइल्ड मैरिज.
child marriage, particularly intestate women, as he just said. Her entire self-acquired property will go to the family of the husband if she has no children, as against any member of her own family, namely her parents or brother or sister. And you have the most draconian case, which is the Supreme Court judgment holding the field. A woman thrown out of her husband's house, husband dies, comes back, educated by the family, earns, makes great wealth, dies intestate. The entire amount of her, what she's created, the wealth is given to husband's family, which had thrown her out. It's a reported judgment on Hindu law.
बाइट से मर गया था हस्बैंड, उसे निकाल दिया मार पीट के. उसके बाद उसने नौकरी कर ली, फिर वो जब मर गई उसने घर मिला, ग्रेचुटी वगैरह, वो सब सास ससुर को दे दी जिन्होंने उसे घर से निकाला था.
But the proof of the pudding is in the Uttarakhand is the only state, as you said, which has framed supposedly a modern uniform civil code. In that, Section 2 expressly excludes all the tribes and excludes all the Part 21 of the Constitution, which means that you have straightaway excluded about something like 15% of the Indian population.
That's why I said that the intent is not a uniform civil code. That's the point that I was trying
So,
to
for
make.
instance, if there are pernicious practices among the tribes with regard to marriage or divorce, that gets excluded, that gets saved by this law. Not only doesn't achieve any larger objective, it is so targeted, and it then reveals the actual thinking behind the whole thing.
Faizan
Just
sahab,
one thing,
yeah.
फैजान साहब आप शायद बता सकेंगे 1867 or something, Portugal introduced the
Goa
Portuguese
Code,
civil
yes,
code
Goa,
in Goa,
yes, yes.
which in 1961 has been continued.
Yes.
So it holds the field even today. Is that a proper model of a uniform civil code?
नहीं है उसमें तो ये कि अगर आपके बेटा नहीं हुआ तो आप सेकंड हिंदू भी मैरिज कर ले। क्यों हम एक colonial piece of legislation से गवर्न हो रहे हैं? वो तो बिल्कुल ही गलत है।
No, I just wanted to understand a little bit about that.
But फैजान साहब ये बताइए, what's the difference between Sharia and Muslim personal law?
सर ये इंडिया में क्या हुआ कि शरिया एक्ट जो था उसमें ये वर्ड आ गया शरिया, और उसकी वजह से पूरा देश कंफ्यूज हो गया। मैंने सर इस पे काफी लिखा भी है। शरिया है लोगों की रिलेशनशिप विद गॉड, यानी आप नमाज पढ़ें 5 बार और हज करें और रोजे रखें, तो वो प्रेयर से रिलेटेड गॉड ने वो बताया ये करिए। लेकिन जो ह्यूमन बीइंग्स की आपस की रिलेशनशिप है, यानी शादी तो 2 इंसान करेंगे, वो मरेंगे, उनकी प्रॉपर्टी जो है उसका सक्सेशन होगा, उस पे लॉ नहीं बताया उन्हें। ये गॉड की विजडम है कि आप इवॉल्व करें अपना लॉ।
That is by 1937 Act.
नहीं सर, जो मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ है इंडिया में वो शरिया नहीं है। वो लार्जली वो लॉ है जो अंग्रेज जजों ने डेवलप किया ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। उसका कुछ पार्ट कोडिफाइड है, कई ऐसे जैसे सर 86 का लॉ है, या अभी हमने जो ट्रिपल डिवोर्स पे लॉ बनाया, या शाहबानो का जजमेंट, या शायर, ये सब पर्सनल लॉ के हिस्से हो गए। तो उसका कुछ पार्ट कोडिफाइड है, स्टैट्यूटरी है, कुछ जज मेड है, कुछ अनकोडिफाइड है। बहुत कम इतना हिस्सा है जो अनकोडिफाइड है। लेकिन मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ को ये समझना कि वो शरिया है, वो बिल्कुल गलत है।
मतलब कि कुरान और हदीस इस बातों में कोई
नहीं सर, ज्यूरिस्टिक ओपिनियन है ना वो।
अच्छा,
तो वो इंटरप्रिटेशन जो फेमिनिस्ट स्कॉलर्स हैं वो कहते हैं कि कुरान की वर्सेस का जो पैट्रियार्कल कंजर्वेटिव इंटरप्रिटेशन किया है वो गलत है। सर यही मेरी प्रॉब्लम है इवन विद शायरा बानो जजमेंट की रीजनिंग, कि एक जज ये कह रहा है कि ये आर्बिट्रेरी है। अब आर्बिट्रेरीनेस का डॉक्ट्रिन तो स्टेट पे लगना चाहिए, प्राइवेट डिसीजन पे कैसे लगाएं? 2 जजेस ये कह रहे हैं कि कुरान में ये नहीं है इसलिए वॉइड है। अगर कुरान में होता तो क्या एक मॉडर्न लिबरल स्टेट को एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए? इसलिए ये हमारा बेसिस नहीं होना चाहिए। हमारा बेसिस ये होना चाहिए कि कोई भी चीज किसी भी रिलीजन का हिस्सा हो सकती है अगर वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से, इक्वालिटी से, जेंडर जस्टिस के आइडियल से कंपेटेबल नहीं है, हम अलाउ नहीं करें।
अच्छा, बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात आपको बताऊं, शायद आप लोगों को मालूम नहीं हो, मुझे मालूम नहीं, कि गोवलकर साहब को ये सवाल पूछा गया था।
जी
पूछा गया था कि डोंट यू थिंक दैट यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड इज नीडेड टू नर्चर द सेंस ऑफ नेशनलिज्म? तो उन्होंने जवाब दिया, आई डू नॉट थिंक सो। व्हाट आई से ऑन दिस इशू माइट सरप्राइज यू and many others, but this is my view and I speak out the truth as I see it. Sawal, don't you agree that uniformity is needed to promote national unity? ये जो आज का जो डिस्कोर्स है, तो गवालकर साहब कहते हैं harmony and uniformity are 2 different things. For harmony, uniformity is necessary. There have always been limitless diversities in India. In spite of this, our nation has remained strong and well organized since ancient times. For unity, we need harmony, not uniformity. Right? Nature does not like excessive uniformity. I think the diversity and unity can coexist, and they do coexist. ये तो गोलवालकर की बात भी नहीं
और
मानते।
इसी इंटरव्यू में सर उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि कोई चीज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि उसे करना है फौरन।
एग्जैक्टली। और जब एक्सपर्ट बॉडीज एंड सेट के भाई लॉ कमीशन से चर्चा की जाए, 21st लॉ कमीशन, चौहान साहब सुप्रीम कोर्ट जब उसके चेयरमैन थे, तो उन्होंने कहा कि
It is neither desirable,
neither
nor
desirable,
feasible.
neither necessary nor desirable. उन्होंने कहा neither necessary
And
nor.
that's recently in
और
2018.
फिर now they have referred the matter again to the law commission. अब
लेकिन सर हम लोगों की पोजीशन है कि डिजायरेबल है। प्रॉब्लम ये हुई है सर कि जो लिबरल स्कॉलर्स थे वो इस प्रोजेक्ट के साथ में थे, फिर इसे कम्युनलाइज कर दिया तो बेचारों ने बैक ट्रैक कर लिया।
नहीं, बट विदिन द मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी देयर इज नो वॉइस ना, कोई ऐसी इसके बारे में मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी में भी चर्चा नहीं हो
नहीं
रही।
नहीं, मुस्लिम विमेन के सर तमाम ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो हैं वो मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ में रिफॉर्म चाहते हैं। वो रिफॉर्म पॉसिबल हैं, वो रिफॉर्म किए जाएं रिफॉर्म की स्पिरिट से,
तो community
rather
क्यों नहीं
than
करती?
कि आप इलेक्टोरल गेन्स के लिए करें कि हमने वी हैव शोन देम द प्लेस।
बट फैजान साहब, कम्युनिटी क्यों नहीं ये काम कर रही? मैं इसलिए आपसे सवाल पूछना चाहता
नहीं, कम्युनिटी में भी जो है ना सर, क्लर्जी का डोमिनेशन है
हूं।
और क्लर्जी जाहिर है कि बहुत कंजर्वेटिव है।
अच्छा,
But I would say the real test would be if it is done across board for all religions, all communities on certain specifics, not target one community, not target the other. And that is not going to happen, as you just said, because you've already started the exclusion processes.
एग्जैक्टली, द होल
And,
डिबेट
and for the areas which actually need a lot of that, because in the northeast, as I just told you, you have small private village councils who decide on your divorce, who decide on your maintenance or what you should get or how it is to be done.
अरे भाई,
It doesn't
हरियाणा में
work.
क्या होता है?
Your panchayats, khap panchayats.
अब पंचायत में क्या होता है? तो आप इस पे आप इंटरफियर करेंगे तो आप तो नेशनल इलेक्शन हार जाएंगे। तो इट इज इजियर टू बैश अ कम्युनिटी, right, and get electoral benefit out of it, and then say that we want a uniform civil code, when in fact there is no desire to have a uniform civil code. Reality तो ये है ना।
नहीं सर, जैसे मेरा ये कह रहा हूँ कि रिफॉर्म कैसे करें। जैसे मुस्लिम लॉ में कई तरह की डिवोर्सेस हैं जो हस्बैंड इनिशिएट करता है, कई तरह की हैं जो वाइफ करती है। तो अगर हम ये कहें साहब अब यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड में डिवोर्स होगी ओनली बाय म्यूचुअल कंसेंट या फिर कोई जुडिशियल या आर्बिट्रेशन काउंसिल के जरिए, तो ये इस्लामिक भी है। आपको ऐसे रिफॉर्म करना है जिससे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का जेंडर जस्टिस का गोल भी फुलफिल हो और कोई ये ना कह पाए कि आप मेरी रिलीजियस फ्रीडम में इंटरफेयर कर रहे हैं।
आई एग्री विद यू, आई एग्री।
तो आप कह देंगे साहब म्यूचुअल कंसेंट तो इस्लामिक कंसेप्ट है, हम ये वाला प्रिंसिपल लागू कर रही है कि आप ये मानिए।
नहीं भाई, कौन कहेगा ये बात?
नहीं, अगर सर कोई प्रॉपर कमेटी नहीं बनी आज तक, कोई हमारे पास अच्छा ड्राफ्ट अवेलेबल नहीं है, हमें बस जल्दी करनी है। जैसे हमने लोकपाल सड़क पे बनाया, ऐसे ये जो उत्तराखंड की यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड है, तो साहब 10 लाख हमारे पास सजेशन आए। किन लोगों ने वो सजेशन दिए हैं कुछ नहीं मालूम है। तो प्रॉपर एक्सपर्ट्स की कमेटी बनाएं जो ज्यूरिस्टिक व्यू को देखते हुए ऐसी कोड बना दे जो एक्सेप्टेबल हो, जिसको लोग अपोज ना करें। हम कोई बड़ा रिफॉर्म करें सर तो कंसेंसस हो जाए कंट्री में, ऑल राउंड सेलिब्रेशन हो। अगर हम यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड करने जा रहे हैं तो वक्फ बिल क्यों ला रहे हैं? फिर आसाम में ये नया लॉ मैरिज रजिस्ट्रेशन का क्यों ला रहे हैं? वो तो फिर सब उसी में कवर हो जाएगा।
सही बात है, सही बात। तो मंशा कुछ अलग लगती है आपके हिसाब से। नहीं नहीं, खुल के बोलो, ये तो
खुल के
हम
बोलने
तो
की बात
चर्चा
नहीं,
कर
सर क्लियर नहीं है, क्लियर नहीं है कि करना क्या चाहते हैं।
ये इनको बताना चाहिए what they really want to do. Do they want
Yeah,
to really look at India as one nation and reform all processes which are discriminatory, right? And if are they willing to do that? Do they have the courage to do that? My answer to that is no. इनके पास ना तो मंशा है ना हृदय है। हाँ, वो करेज है कि हम ये करना चाहते हैं। इनको देखिए, ये क्रिश्चियंस के बारे में बात नहीं करते, ये सिख्स के बारे में बात नहीं करते, ये पारसीज के बारे में बात नहीं करते, ये ट्राइबल्स के बारे में बात नहीं करते, आदिवासीज के बारे में बात नहीं करते। केवल एक ही बात करते हैं कि
तो सर कोई भी यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड के नाम से लॉ नहीं पास होगा, ना सेकुलर कोड के नाम से पास होगा। भाई इंडियन सिविल कोड, इंडियन फैमिली कोड, मैं जो कहता हूं सर कि पीस मिल कर लें। जैसे पहले आप मैरिज पे रिफॉर्म कर लें, फिर एक और लॉ बना लें, उसमें डिवोर्स पे रिफॉर्म कर लें, फिर एक और लॉ बना लें।
फिर तो सारे रिफॉर्म होने चाहिए, इंक्लूडिंग ऑल, इंक्लूसिव रिफॉर्म होना चाहिए।
इंक्लूसिव रिफॉर्म है, लेकिन जरूरी नहीं कि इन वन गो में सारे कर दें।
आहिस्ता आहिस्ता
पर मुझे हमें तो एक बात नहीं समझ आती एज अ फेमिनिस्ट, it's been my observation and I've said it for a very long time कि whenever it comes to law which are relating to women rights, children rights, Parliament has no time to pass them. Okay, you need a law on a corporate law, you need an insolvency amendment. Oh, 2 दिन में 10 दिन में आ जाएगा। 1997 Supreme Court came out on sexual harassment guidelines. 2013 the legislation came. Now 10 years you've been in power, and before that the previous regimes. Nobody was concerned about the women's rights. But why just before, when you know you are heading for certain elections? 10 years was a long time to have a debate, to discuss if you genuinely meant on a co-opting on all religion on a code which would be uniform at least on some issues.
वो तो 2018 में they got shot down by the Law Commission.
Correct.
They constituted the Law Commission, which was perhaps the right way of going about it. And the Law Commission in 2018 said it's neither desirable nor feasible. They said it's not feasible.
You
But
know,
why now?
And a very detailed report.
obviously.
That's the question that I would ask myself.
That's correct.
And that's what makes me circumspect about your intention.
But let's be clear.
Are the intentions short-sighted for current benefits to create an environment, or are they genuine?
When
Is
you
there
ask the
something-
question, the answer is obvious.
Yeah.
But I think that the one thing we should all agree upon and clear about, that the one thing that needs reform across the board, all religions, is the rights of women.
Yes.
That's true.
Right? And therefore, if the country is serious, we should all get together and say, look at all laws, the rights of women, and let's move forward, as you said, step by step. I think we should all agree on that.
And borrow from all laws, whatever are the good provisions.
And what Faizan pointed out, that when the Hindu Code Bill was broken into 4 laws,
Yes.
so marriage, succession, they were all separated.
Correct.
And
We should
it was
do the same.
ultimately 4 laws. So you could take just women's rights
Yes.
and concentrate on that and deal with that, which would be universally, it may not be uniform, but it would be universally acceptable.
acceptable.
That's a very
Sir,
nice
one
way of
last
putting
line.
it. Yes,
What
tell me.
about the agricultural land inheritance?
Yes.
Number of post-constitution laws, we are preferring male heirs over female heirs.
That's correct.
And we have protected these laws by putting them in 9th schedule. This is absolute violation of equality and gender
तो इस
justice.
पे चर्चा खत्म करते हैं.
आज
इसी
के लिए।
with this resolution that women, there should be a law which is universally acceptable
And progressive.
and progressive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.